This lesson on the origins of the American Revolution will look at how early colonization of North America up to the 1750s really influenced the circumstances that led to conflict between the colonists and Great Britain. This lesson explores what life was like in early colonized America for the colonists. There were many social and economic changes that occurred during the period up to the 1750s that would pave the path for the American Revolution. Some of the key questions that early leaders and colonists grappled with continued to set the tone for critical social issues in America for years to come. Examples would include slavery and religion. The mindset of the colonists was highly influenced by the lifestyle they lived prior to the American Revolution. Better understanding of relationships between colonists and between colonists and Great Britain is important for understanding how the events leading up to the American Revolution unfolded. So why does this matter? There are numerous origins of the American Revolution, but it's important to understand the other issues and social circumstances that were happening at the same time. When examining complex situations like the American Revolution, there are often many causes that contribute to the way of life before and after. In the early 1700s, population was really booming in the new colonies. At this time, the population in the English colonies in America climbed to 275,000. The largest cities at the time were Boston and New York. There were three different forms of European colonization in the New World happening at the same time that America was being settled. These were known as empires of commerce, empires of conquest, and empires of settlement. While the Spanish used their expansion differently, seeing the Indians as a profitable labor force, the French viewed the Indians as possible trading partners. The English, on the other hand, pursued a practice known as plantation settlement, which involves the removal of the indigenous population and replacement with native British individuals. Over time, however, England saw a lot of opportunity in settling North America. The British saw that the fertile land in America was an incredible chance to grow crops and trade with others in order to reimburse themselves for the expensive process of settling a new land. So, why does this matter, and how does this influence rebellious thinking in the new colonies? Well, the British really took a different approach to colonizing America as compared with some of their counterparts at the time, like the French and the Spanish. And some of the ways in which they structured relations with the colonists from the very outset influenced how the colonists felt they were being treated. England was concerned with the population growing over in the United States. It was very expensive to settle land over here, but they also wanted to recoup some of their losses in terms of the money that they had invested to both conquer and protect this land. Another way that early colonization would ultimately influence the American Revolution is slavery. Initially, stable crop production in the colonies was a focus that was being carried out by white indentured servants. Between the period of 1640 and 1670, however, there were more blacks becoming permanently enslaved rather than owners relying on short-term white indentured servants. By the end of this century, slavery was the primary labor force for many of the colonies in conducting business. Having to meet production quotas and remain profitable was a key focus for many of the colonies, but it became increasingly difficult to cooperate with the British as their oppressive taxes and other rules that they enforced influenced the relationship. The growth of the population of white men in the area was also essential for growing thoughts about separating ties with the British. So slavery changed over time, mostly with who was doing the work. Another impact of colonial thinking leading up to the American Revolution has to do with religion and the Enlightenment. One of the most important things to understand about life in America is how heavily it was influenced by the Enlightenment. Looking back at numerous aspects of colonial America, such as religion, government, and politics, it's easy to see how the Enlightenment influenced each and every one of these various factors. Without the heavy influence of the Enlightenment, the United States would be completely different from what it is today. The Enlightenment and the Great Awakening were highly influential in reinvigorating thoughts about church and God in the new colonies. Unlike the previous belief in one all-powerful church in which membership was relatively close to mandatory, new Protestant ideals were drawn from the Enlightenment concepts of freedom and free will. People were allowed to make choices regarding their religion, which was relatively new for those who had escaped religious persecution in England. And also, this new interest in learning and discussing religion provided a forum and also communities where colonists could gather together and share their ideas. So, this idea of thinking, evaluating, sharing concepts with other people, political debate, all of these sort of contributed to laying the groundwork for the American Revolution. And religious persecution was indeed a very powerful force that caused English colonization. Many of the individuals who left England for the New World were seeking religious freedom, and the Enlightenment and Great Awakening allowed those very opportunities to become a reality for the new colonists.